All right, and the show continues. This is still TV3 New Days. Time now for the big issue. And my guest in the studio this morning, I have lawyer Edudi Tamaklo. He is a member of the legal team of the NDC. Good morning.
Good morning.
Belated happy Val's Day.
Thank
I see you're spotting some red in your
So yesterday we had to do it in Grand Star, and I was watching yourself and Cookie with Sam George, and you were doing your own thing. So I was taking notes.
You were taking notes.
Yeah.
I was hoping you could give us some more advice. How are you taking notes when you are supposed to be giving us more?
The things you people discuss, they are matters that. Like I always say, human nature, you can't do it in a lab.
Yeah.
It evolves with time. So kudos.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Mr. George AC, the communication director from NADMO, was also there to also give his 2 cents on how to make your marriage work. Hi, Ernest Kumi. Good morning. He's a member of the MPP communications team. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good to have you in the studios. I don't see any red anywhere. Did you nash yesterday or something?
No, I didn't ask, but I don't think I believe in that as well.
Oh, you don't believe in Val's Day?
Not really.
Why?
This is a less romantic achievement.
You know.
Oh, you're less romantic.
I guess that's his interpretation.
But are you really less romantic?
I think if you want to express love, it should be an everyday thing.
There's people who don't like buying gifts. That's what they say. You don't have to wait for a special day.
You don't have to wait for a special day to express your emotions and sentiments towards other persons. So it was a normal day for me.
So at least this year you have expressed your emotions already. You didn't have to wait till yesterday.
Almost each day, it's not just this year.
You buy gifts and all?
Yeah, a lot.
Hey!
I simply don't wait for any occasion.
Mr. Romantic. Gentlemen, you're welcome. Let's go into our first story for today, and we will be talking about the Fix the Country convener who is in the grips of the police after some posts that he made on social media. In fact, he was not in the country at the time when he was said to have posted a few things concerning a coup. And I'll just read a bit of what he said. He said that if this e-levy passes after the cake BS, I will do the coup myself, and added useless army. Later, he came to rephrase it and, sort of try to explain what he meant by that. But in actual fact, we are hearing from the Ashaiman police who are saying that there was an official complaint that was made to them, and so they decided to investigate and to also monitor Oliver's movements. Oliver had posted earlier that he would be in Ghana for some engagements, and so he had heard that there's an attempt to arrest him. He landed in Ghana on the 12th of February and was picked up by the police. In fact, some conveners complained that they could not tell exactly where he was. He had gone missing to some extent. And then 2 days later, in fact, beyond the 48 hours that was stipulated by the then outgoing Chief Justice Sufai Kufu, initially there was that rule that you have to stay in during the weekend if you're arrested and wait till the weekdays so you can be tried in court. Now, that was one of her last policies that she put in place before she went out as Chief Justice, indicating that the courts can work on weekends so that people will not have to be kept in jail. Oliver's lawyers are complaining that the police, in fact, went beyond that 48 hours. And those were some of the objections that they raised in court. Let's just take a look at how it all went down yesterday with regards to him being arraigned in court or before court. And we'll come back and have this conversation.
Why is it that some people will be allowed to go scot-free just because they are affiliated to certain political parties? What is it that he said that is so tantamount that he is even denied, to speak to the media? What is it that he has done that we've not heard about in this country before? Just about a month ago, a guy in camera said the chief or the king of Asante should permit him to go and slaughter a chief, the Doma chief, and no one has said nothing about it, not even a public caution, nothing has been said about this issue. We were all in this country where a lot of treason comments have been made and nothing has been done about it. Nobody is saying Oliver is above the law. That is not what we are saying. What we are saying is the law needs to be applied according to everybody. We are all not above the law. Nobody is above the law in this country. And if it happens to Kojo, it is supposed to happen to Kofi. That is all we are saying. Justice must be served. And no matter what, one day, justice will be served. Arrest Ghana. Arrest Ghana, you free Oliver. It's here today. Tomorrow it will be you.
And those are some members of Fix the Country who are asking questions about how Oliver Barker-Vormawor is being treated. I'll start off with Ernest Kumi on this particular issue before I even come to council, because a lot of concerns have been raised. But in general, I mean, let's take a look at what Oliver posted on social media and what you make of the whole process so far.
Let me say good morning to our listeners once again. But if I'm to pose this question to you, let's move away even from the legal matters and look at morality. Do you think that these statements or these postings that our brother Oliver made is condemnable? Don't you think so?
Carry on with your statement.
Oh, okay, you don't want to answer.
I'm not answering.
I thought it's a partner discussion, therefore you could
I'm the one asking the question.
Oh, okay, so you cannot contribute.
No.
Anyway, that's great. But in my honest opinion, I think it is condemnable. I think it's not something that as the youth of this country we should entertain. We may differ in terms of how the issues are being handled, but I think that in terms of the posting or its public outcry, I think it's condemnable and we'll need to speak against. Why do I say so? Most people are attributing this to free speech, freedom of the press and other stuff. But I think that, you see, the concept of free speech is a crucial mechanic to democratization. And be it as it is protected by law. And therefore, all of us have the right to speak freely in public without any interferences. Now, the Constitution guarantees this. And by extension, this has become the springboard for free press and free media. Now, to grant an absolute freedom of speech is what the Constitution does not guarantee, or any law does not guarantee in any part of the world. And therefore, as you continue to speak or exercise this right, you need to be careful in terms of the things that you put out there. Now, you need to be mindful, because all those things that you're saying must also work in line with other laws and must also go with respect to other human dignity and other state institutions as well. And therefore, when you look at the Constitution by Article 21, it guarantees that. Even there are other international instruments like the ICCPR that guarantees all this freedom of speech and expression. But then it all makes sure that these things are curtailed at a point, or it grants room for it to be restrained at a point. Therefore, in going about in expressing your opinion, I think it must be regulated. You must look at the way you go about it with respect to other people, especially in our terrain. That all that people need nowadays is just to sit behind microphone and malign people, speak against people. And the cliche that we keep saying is that, well, we have said it. Let Eduji come and disprove it. Let Ernest Kumi come and disprove it. In such an environment, we need to make sure that, I mean, as time goes on, we sanitize the system. For instance, in the implementation of free speech across the world, you realize that it differs from one country to the other because of either social reasons, cultural reasons, political and other orientations. So even in the advanced world or modern democracies and developed world, the implementation is different. And therefore, when we have such a polarized system where people can ordinarily sit behind microphone, where people can just go on social media and just make any form of publication against any person, all that the person ought to have done, or the crime that the person ought to have committed, is to occupy a public position. And anybody can make statements about you anyway, anyhow, without any substance. Now, if you are to go by, you look at other several people have made similar comments in this country. I think I was just watching some of the sound bites you just played, and one guy was saying that, why is it that he's not the only person making? You see, maybe that person might have been lucky and his wasn't, or his couldn't get the attention of the police.
Is that really the case? Is it means of sheer luck? There are some government officials
it's not the
who
issues,
have also been
even you as a media
making some of these statements as well.
It doesn't.
They were let off.
You see, if even you as a media person, it's not all the statements that people make that gets to your attention, true or false?
True.
That's true, exactly. So we cannot presume that every statement that was made by each and every one in the public space got the attention of the police. So some statement may necessarily get the attention of the police. That is why I want to avoid all the legalities. Or for me, I just think that once a person has been charged for a specific offense, it is up to the law, because the law is in the bosom of the court, to exonerate the person or to, after prosecution, to say you're passing judgment or sentence on that person. But be it as it is, I think that, yes, we've seen the police over this short period being aggressive on these matters. Don't you think it's a needless bravado for our brother to go on this tangent? People are saying, and people are asking questions as to whether he had the capacity to carry through his threat.
Yeah.
But for me, that is fundamentally flawed.
How?
Yes, because even after he had made a post, he still showed intentions of needless bravado by saying that, look, I am in London or I'm in the UK today. I'll be coming to Ghana on this date. I have heard I'll be arrested. And he was even daring and saying that he cannot be arrested. Why?
He did not say he cannot be arrested.
Okay,
he only said that even if he's arrested, he doesn't even want people to go around asking for him to be freed.
Okay, good.
So he never said that he dares them to not arrest him.
Let's go by the
like
assumption. You as a TV host, when you travel, do you put out your travel dates?
No, but really,
So
it's your discretion.
Yeah, it is your discretion. Exactly.
It's your
But
discretion.
go back to his pages and see the number of times he's traveled and put out. What is the intention? The intention is to say, I am coming on this date. Clearly, you cannot do anything to me.
That's not what he meant. He said that he has been booked for some speaking engagements.
We can infer into his conduct, and it's allowed. You need not to see it expressly stated on his page. But I'm saying that if you compare that to his previous travels and all, do he put them out? No, he doesn't. So in the end, it shows that he's communicating an intention. That, look, I am coming, and I think that nobody can touch me as you think.
Intention to do what exactly? Because I have the brief facts here. And by the way, so Oliver yesterday was accused, of course, and there's an official treason file that has been opened against him, and that is what he's going to be tried over. And there's a brief fact statement here from the police yesterday, and I'll just read that briefly so we carry on. It says that the accused person is a lawyer and convener of social movements, namely Fix the Country. Sometime in February 2022, the Sherman police received a report that the accused person was inciting some group of persons believing to be members of Fix the Country movement. That's on receipt of the reports, the police mounted surveillance on the accused person until his arrest at the Kotoka International Airport on Friday, the 11th of February 2022, when he arrived from the United Kingdom, UK. Preliminary investigation has revealed that accused is a lawyer and a PhD student in Cambridge University, UK. It's also been established during the investigation that the accused for some time now has been inciting some groups of persons through social media to undertake an unlawful enterprise to usurp the executive powers of government. Now, pursuant to his preparation to usurp the executive powers of the government of Ghana, accused further published on his Facebook wall that the Ghana army is useless and went ahead to declare his intention in a Facebook post to stage a coup if the electronic transaction levy, e-levy, is passed by Parliament. Now, investigation also revealed that the said e-levy bill is currently before Parliament, and that the accused arrival in the country was in furtherance of his intention to stage a coup as declared by him. Investigations continue. And that is where a lot of people have raised red flags. The final part of the statement, because he had clearly stated why he was coming to Ghana. He said that he was coming for some speaking engagements. And so how then is this statement being made that he was coming to Ghana with an intention to carry out the coup?
But he had expressed a previous intention already. And you cannot say he can only hold one and simple opinion. No. He has stated an earlier opinion which says that, look, if the e-levy is passed, I will stage a coup. It's a very definite statement. Then subsequently, he's moving away from his hideout or wherever he is, saying that I'm coming into the country. Whatever reason that he publicly expresses is not different from the previous intent that he has expressed. So therefore, you can construe that as saying that, look, he is coming in, and therefore, if the e-levy is passed, he can go ahead with his intention. That's why I'm saying that I am not here to prove or disprove the legality of it. And it is quite prejudicial for me to make any comment about this case.
Of course.
But the truth of the matter is that his conduct is appalling. It's something that is condemnable. For me, as a lawyer who has been trained by the law, who has been trained about the etiquette of the profession, if not anything, at least he knows about Article 3 of the Constitution, that he ought to defend the Constitution of Ghana. He ought to protect the democracy of Ghana. And therefore, as a lawyer, he cannot just go about and ban. You think he doesn't know the meaning of the statement he made? He knows better than you and I do.
But he came back even after that. When he posted that statement, he came back and said that, okay, let's make this simple. Let me just read what exactly he said.
I think you seem to know much about.
Oh, well, I mean, so he came back and said that, okay, let's try this again. If this e-levy still passes after this cake BS, then may God help us to resist oppressors' rule with our will and minds forevermore. 2 times. Useless Amiana, the value is the same. So he sought to clarify what he was saying because people were attributing his earlier tweet to his intention to stage a coup.
I think you've also come by the other statements where he said, long live the Ghana, Guinea, Mali Union, and I will vote for any party that proposes a credible plan to restore the project to unify Africa, and the other similar coup sentiments that he expressed. So it's not just, and when a man is expressing these sentiments continuously, presumably, you know what is running through the minds of the person. And therefore, whatever he came back later on to express, even that, going back to the hashtag he placed under, it still continues. You could tell that, yes, there's no break in terms of his intention. So for me, I do not want to go into the substance of the matter to discuss. And obviously, when it gets to the law court, it will be dealt with. The judge will pass judgment on it, and we'll see the finality of the case. But I think that, look, for you to sit there as a lawyer, and for you to come from the angle he did and the kind of things he said out there, I don't think he's a lay person who doesn't know what he's speaking to. He knows what constitutes treason. He knows what constitutes comments that are prejudicial to the security of the state. He knows.
But initially, he wasn't even charged with treason felony.
You see, that.
So we're told, and in fact, we heard from the DSP for the Ashaman Police, and he said that he had completed his investigation.
But in
and
the end, it's about the charge.
Offenses conduct. Now, Oliver's lawyers and his team say that afterwards, that Sunday, they said, okay, if that's the case, can you release him for us? And then a call came through, and it said, we're changing the charge to treason felony.
My brother Eduji is here. You will tell her. It is amenable at any point in time. All those saying bad faith, and all those things, I don't think it changes the substance of the matter. In the end, what was the charge that was presented to the court? That is what matters.
That's what matters.
That's what matters.
Let me bring lawyer in to respond to this. Is this a treasonable offense, looking at what Oliver put out?
You see, Bella, we are dealing with, regrettably, a president who sees himself in the true sense of Enana. A president...
Why are you going that way?
Yes, a president who is so paranoid.
How is he paranoid?
He is so paranoid because of the pain that he has afflicted on Ghanaians, to the extent that he is beginning to think, quote unquote, that what if? So our president is living in the realm of what if.
What if what?
Exactly. Because if not, and I listen to you, ask the questions, very intelligent questions. What in God's name will make security agencies of this republic think that an individual called Oliver has the capacity to remove the duly constituted government of President Akufo-Addo? I mean, what in God's name will make any government even think like that except paranoid? You see, I make the point that our president is paranoid because, you see, comments like the things Oliver and co might have said are not new to our political conversation. Look, I recall vividly, somewhere around May 2009, I want to extract the particular quotation. Okay. This is then candidate Akufo-Addo. On the 29th day of May 2009, at Osu Ebenezer Hall, Presby Church, and this is what he said: I am very concerned that sooner or later, militants on our side, convinced that the state cannot and will not protect them, may take measures to protect their interests, themselves and their loved ones. Events would then be out of control, driving all of us towards a point of no return. This is Akufo-Addo. Was he even invited by anybody? What is more treasonable than this? an opposition leader talking about militants on his side. What does militancy do? Nobody invited him.
It doesn't make
no,
this
I'm coming there. No,
it?
I'm coming. What I'm laying a foundation that you see the way you react to something tells you your state of mind. And I'm building a point that the president we have is paranoid.
What if he even had no hand in this? Is the police just doing their job? So if you say he's paranoid...
Look, you know what? A serious issue like this arrest. You saw yesterday, the soldiers, the policemen that escorted him even to the court.
About 10 of them.
About 10 of them, fully armed. And you mean the president was not briefed? Then what kind of president do we have? It's even more worrying if all these shenanigans are happening without his knowledge. But you see, our president, the same Akufo-Addo, went outside the country, then as opposition leader, and indicated that unemployment had become an issue under John Mahama, and that if steps were not taken to resolve it, we risk an Arab Spring. At the time he made those comments, the Arab Spring were associated with the removal of legitimate governments. Who invited him? You see, when you have credible security agencies, what they do is that you place the person under surveillance.
Isn't that what they did?
No.
But they stated it in their brief fact that they placed him under surveillance.
You see, look, when this matter happened in Ashama, the police said somebody in Ashama lodged a complaint to them. What surveillance? And look at the brief fact they presented to courts. You read the concluding part. And that Oliver is coming down to stage a coup. When the man previously had indicated that the Danish embassy had invited him for a talk on corruption and corruption-related matters, and therefore he was coming. How does this? Now, so when you talk about corruption, or you are mounting a platform to talk about corruption, you are staging a coup? So how did we get to this low? To the point that today, any comments that an individual makes, this guy, look, I'm the last person, right, to even associate with anything that would destabilize this country. And I have a very simple reason for it. My simple reason is that the 4 years allows us the opportunity to punish government that we do not like. And from 1992, we have used these 4 years to stop government that we never liked.
Yeah.
And so there's no point at all in advocating for the intervention of government. In any case, why would I detest this reckless, vindictive Akufo-Addo administration and advocate for military? No, I wouldn't do that. It doesn't make sense. And I am the last person to sit here and do that. But you see, everything that this government has done about this Oliver matter shows you a government that has no respect for the rule of law. How can you be advocating for the protection of the law by breaching same? Look, Martin Kpebu went to the Supreme Court of Ghana. The Supreme Court gave judgment and said, in the past, when persons are arrested, they say, 48 hours joins into a weekend. And so you are kept in detention. The Supreme Court of Ghana, not only did they rule that weekends could include the process of getting the court to sit down to consider bail application. The Supreme Court further gave directive to Ghana police, among other things.
It said they were even going to be paid extra for working on weekends.
Exactly. Our celebrity IGP decided to ignore this policy directive. How
do you say he decided to ignore? If you heard from the police, they also stated that they had sent a request to the Chief Justice Enin Yeboah, to also give them clearance to go to court that weekend. They tried to reach him by all means, and that wasn't possible, which is why they didn't have a choice than to arrange him before court on Monday.
When the Supreme Court gave that policy directive, they never said it's subject to the dictate of a Chief Justice. Prepare him for the court. And let the record reflect that there was no court sitting. It's a different matter. So the attempt to share blame with the Chief Justice, for me, it doesn't even come in at all.
But lawyer Martin Pebu said that there was a time when he also had to go to court during a holiday.
Yes.
And they still managed to get the Chief Justice to give them clearance.
No, but
so are there instances where you might have to get clearance from the Chief Justice? And is this one of the cases?
Possibly when you are sitting, you may need a warrant. But my point is that prepare the processes and let that process, let the record reflect that you've taken this step and it didn't work. That is entirely different from what we are having now. But you see, I am making this point that the police in one way cannot be saying that they are seeking to protect the laws of this country by ensuring that Oliver is kept under lock and key, and at the same time flouting a decision of the Supreme Court. It doesn't make sense. But that is where we are. Because you see, everybody has been whipped in line to worship the emperor. And that is the regrettable situation that we have got into as a nation. Why would the police even put up these colorful facts before a judge? You started an investigation on the premises that his conduct, or this is an offensive conduct, conducive for the breach of the peace. That was what you started with. Now you see, per our processes, when you go, it's a misdemeanor. That offense under 207, 208, they are misdemeanors.
Okay.
So what it means is that automatically the judge will grant the person a bail. So you know what they did? They quickly had to catch the fact to look at treason felony, which is an indictable offense. And because it's an indictable offense, you need a committal process starting from the district court. Knowing that when you go to the district court judge will say that the offense of treason felony may require not less than 3 judges to sit on it, or at worst a high court judge.
Okay.
And so because of that, per the rules, the judge will say that because I do not have the jurisdiction to try the offense, I will deny you bail. Because the Supreme Court has said that it is the court that has jurisdiction to try the offense that can grant you bail. In the Martin Pebu decision on bail. So by reason of this, the judge yesterday, as you are aware, simply said, look, I am not the one competent to try this offense. And so I cannot grant you bail.
So you think the police erred in that case?
No, it's deliberate to keep him there.
How is it deliberate? Why would they want to keep him there?
I am saying that this whole thing of treason felony is an afterthought. They started with offensive conduct.
Yes.
But in order to keep him there for a longer time, it has to be changed to treason felony. Obviously, so the district court judge will be denied jurisdiction relative to granting him bail.
But let's look at the Criminal Offences Act.
Yes.
182, treason felony. And it says that a person is guilty of treason felony and shall be punishable as for first-degree felony who prepares or endeavors to carry out by unlawful means any enterprise which usurps the executive power of the state in any matter of both a public and a general nature. If you look at the brief fact that the police presented, is that not in line with this, which is why they charged him with it?
That is why I'm saying that the police needed to present colorful facts. I don't want to say, quote unquote, untruths. They are colorful.
If we look at his statements that he made.
But even you on this platform, you've made it abundantly clear that his subsequent statements, even when he was coming, what he was coming to do. Look at the police now saying that he was coming to stage the coup. I mean, like, seriously? What kind of republic is this? And I have always said that there is a code of ethics for prosecutors. You don't present colorful facts to a judge to sway the mind of a judge against an accused person. It is unethical. It's like me coming to, lie to you about someone so you can hate the person the more. It's unethical. Why in God's name, with the Ghana police, knowing very well that he has stated why he was coming to Ghana on his Facebook page, clear, now proceed to court with these facts?
NS Kumi says that there could be other intentions that he didn't state.
Where are you gleaning the intention? Not even the devil knows your mind. Not even the devil. Unless, of course, the Ghana police have further training in clairvoyance. Is that what we are being told? Look, you see, and like I've made this point, let us be careful when we are proceeding with this republic. Today, the MPP regional chairman for Bono East, Abronye, is on record to have said H.E. John Dramani Mahama is planning with Al-Qaeda to overthrow this administration. Is our celebrity IGP going to arrest him?
Why do you call him celebrity IGP?
That is why he is.
Is he not working? Are you not seeing the results of his work?
I don't know. I'm here to do a proper review on him. But I'm saying that he had been extremely selective in the application of the laws of this country. Look at the Gestapo manner that your colleague journalist was arrested. I mean, Bobby Ansah. Look at the Gestapo manner. Mensa Thompson walked himself into the police station and said, look, you are looking for me. I am here. On the basis of misdemeanor charge, only for him to be detained for 2 days.
But he acknowledged that his post, he did not get the facts right. So he even retracted
I am saying
that statement.
The work of a journalist include the opportunity to make mistake. And so globally, the acceptable means of correcting a mistake made even by a journalist include a rejoinder. In this country, you are even permitted to put a complaint before the National Media Commission. Worst case scenario, even sue for defamation. How in God's name did we get to the point that a head of civil society who genuinely admits that the source of my information is wrong, I am retracting and apologizing. In any case, Mensa Thompson never said that the Ghana Armed Forces use the presidential jet for anything untoward. What he said was that the first family, the children of the president, have used the presidential jet for A, B, C, D. What has the Ghana Armed Forces, the once revered institution of state, got to do with the comment bordering of the first family?
Is the jet not in the possession?
Yes, it is in their possession.
Exactly. So is that not why?
But remember that they didn't say that the Ghana Armed Forces lease the jet to the children of the president.
But they're taking action because if the questions start coming, it will get to them as well. That how did you release the jet?
The man having come out to say that I got this story wrong, it ends it. It even ups your image.
The Ghana Police Service has responded
only for this same institution to now go and report. My problem is that our Ghana Armed Forces, from 1957, when we gained our independence, has been one of the bullhawk of our democratic experiment. They have helped in dousing fire and anger in other countries. That is how we respect them. The danger is when our Ghana Armed Forces, the respected Ghana Armed Forces, begin to duel in matters bordering on partisanship, then we have a problem. Look at the colorful fact the police presented. Look at the colorful fact. Look at the colorful fact the police presented in the Bobie matter. That our first lady and second lady, do you know, just for the record, in the case of Republic versus Tommy Thompson, Nana Akufo-Addo was the lawyers for Tommy Thompson in 1995. You know why he told the Supreme Court and the District Court that the first lady then, Kunedu Adjuman-Rawley, was not a public officer. And so those laws bordering on, sedation, criminal libel and others were not applicable to her. These were the argument Nana Addo made in court. Today, he is president. Someone makes a story about your wife and the foundation she owes, that the foundation is involved in ABCD. What has that got to do with our criminal laws? Okay,
let me bring Ernest in. Is the president paranoid? Is that why all of this is happening?
I find that statement quite preposterous when my brother here, Eduji, mentioned that. Because the question that begs for answer is that whether or not the president was briefed, is it within the contemplation of my brother Eduji here that the president ought to have intervened? The president ought to have curtailed a legal process that was rightfully commenced by the police prosecution? I don't think that is within his contemplation. Why is he drawing the president in? He quickly read a statement that said that President Akufo-Addo made, that was purported to have been made by President Akufo-Addo somewhere in opposition. Now, ask him the same question. Didn't President Mose made similar statement of as to whether we don't organize the elections in a fair manner? What happened in Kenya? What happened in Ghana? At that time, what was happening in Kenya? That he drew that comparison. Was he arrested? Even President Mahama, quite recently, made a statement of that do or die. Was he arrested?
The president also said, "All die, be die."
Yes, but exactly. So I'm saying that if that is the basis of his argument, then it is flawed. Because we have seen various leaders making similar comments. Even General Seydou Nketia, who is a former member of parliament, he's the general secretary for the biggest opposition party, and a member of the Parliamentary Service Board, quite recently, just about a week ago. Did you hear the statement that he made? He said that even if we ought to be slapping all the NPP members of parliament just to prevent the passage of the e-levy, that should be done. Has he been arrested? And is that a basis of comparison for you to say that somebody making a statement which is irresponsible shouldn't be arrested?
But that's where the concern is, because if we've had some leaders also make these statements and nothing was done to them, why are we?
They are not of the same degree, and Eduji knows it. Hold on. No, but that's problematic. I kept quiet. No, it's not a matter of selectiveness. No, you and I know as a practicing lawyer that it is not all the statements that people make that you can find the ingredients of a specific offense to prosecute. Therefore, you do not compare and extract and say that indeed, because the person made that statement, that person should be prosecuted. You know it. Even all these issues that he was raising with the police, I was happy that you questioned him on that ground. That even Martin Kpebu has said same. As a practicing lawyer, he knows that there are difficulties with some of these implementations. And therefore, to sit and conjecture and say, oh, you think it is deliberate. And when you ask him the question as to whether it was a lie, per the fact you read, he said those are colorful statements. Which part of those statements is Eduji saying that our friend Oliver did not make? He made all those statements. He expressed those intent. And like I said, there is no intervening factor for us to discontinue his previous intention from what is happening now. You are saying that even the devil cannot know the minds of the people. Unfortunately, we are not seeking to know his mind. We are reading out his intention that he voluntarily published, not me. That's why when I started, I read out all these expressions that are protected under the laws of Ghana, but yet they are not absolute in itself. And therefore, when you are speaking, you ought to know what you are saying. And I told you that, look, in all these matters, we are not speaking about a lay person. We are speaking about somebody who is a lawyer, ought to have known the law and is practicing the law. And therefore, the statement that he made cannot be put out of context. Speaking about Bobie Ansah, let me read Bobie's comment to you and ask yourself why he shouldn't be arrested. Because Bobie made a publication on Facebook. He's my friend. I do not support that he should be arrested. But in the end, if you sit on social media platforms and you make comments about the judiciary being corrupt, there's a stupid judiciary that is being led by a corrupt Chief Justice who is seeking to prosecute his own agenda. This is a pure statement that he made. And how can you speak like this? When a person speaks like this, you cannot compare that to the fact that Akufo-Addo draws a comparison, or he tries to make inference.
Can we compare it to comments made by Honorable Kennedy Japan? And there are quite a number of them that he's made.
Is it even good? Is it even good you brought in
all your houses, you know?
Hold on. It's good that you even want to draw that comparison. When Honorable Kennedy Japan made similar comments, what was the response of President Mahama? Even when President Kufuor had come out to say that he thinks that you should not use a sledgehammer to kill a tiny mosquito, he said, given the opportunity, he will use a bulldozer to kill that mosquito. I am even expecting that he will come out with his own statement and tell us that we should use excavator or a payloader to kill this mosquito. So when I see any other NDC person trying to make statements to say, oh no, today the issue is about corruption, today the issue is about freedom of speech, you ask yourself that, who speaks against the government more than his own political party?
Let me just dwell on this statement. His communication bureau
is almost invariably, at least every week, all that they need to hear is that something has come. They will come out on a press conference and speak against the government in any way, anyhow.
Okay, the Honorable Kennedy Japan, because he went on to say that if this continues like that, Mahama will burn your house, and if you don't take care, we'll burn you, the human being, as well. And a lot of people have raised concerns that all these statements, I'm not a legal person, but I'll let lawyer explain.
Even to go by his own,
not an intention to harm another human being?
To go by his own defense, what did he tell us? He told us that The if condition. He was not speaking about condition prisoner. He was telling you that, look, there were certain conditions that the police should have known, that subsequently the guy had come out. So why would this case be different?
Is the police getting it wrong? Because if we look at the judgments that was given by former Chief Justice Sufai Kufu before she went out of office, that we cannot allow people to stay in police remand for 48 hours when it's weekend. So in fact, they made a judgment to allow courts to sit during weekends. Olivier was arrested on the 11th of February. And so ideally, between 11th and February, he should have seen a judge. So they decide whether they're going to release him on bail or not. But we got that excuse that it was the Chief Justice who was not being able to be reached, which is why they had to wait till Monday. What do you make of that? Is his right as a human being not being trampled upon, looking at the Constitution?
To speak to it, that's why I was telling you that my brother Eduji here knows better, that there are inherent weaknesses with this implementation. And that was what lawyer Martin Kpebu expressed him. I'm sure he might have faced similar challenges in the past, but because today he's speaking to a different kind of scenario, he doesn't want to admit that indeed these challenges do rear its head once a while in the system, because they express, and he was giving an antidote to it that, look, at least whether it was a challenge or not, the guy should have arraigned, Oliver should have been arraigned before the court for them to have known that indeed there was challenges with the system. But these are practical challenges that rear its head. And it does, what matters is that indeed it affects his right. But in the end, the weaknesses have been exposed and can be amended or can be corrected in the near future. But I don't think the police has changed. This is the same police that arrested Shatawale, that we celebrated them. This is the same police.
I didn't celebrate.
Okay, don't worry, but your party people celebrated. Yes, good. Your party people celebrated. The same police that arrested Reverend Owusu Bempa, his party people celebrated. Even the DC that was recently accosted by the police, they celebrated. They made heroes out of the issue. Today, what's happening? What has changed is they changing in their principle, or they trying to practice double standards. Other than that, nothing has changed. It is the same police working, and therefore you cannot blame President Akufo-Addo by saying that President Akufo-Addo should be the one or to curtail this or should have come into this
You
process.
made references to conditionalities about, Honorable Kennedy Japan saying if. And in the same vein, if you look at Oliver's tweet as well and his post, he said, if this e-levy passes. So there was also that conditionality there. Why are we not applying the same thing here?
I am not saying that. I was going by my brother's own words. That in his justification, he sought to have relied on the if condition. And I'm saying that if you want to be fair, if you want to be equitable in your decision making, then you ought to have applied the same principle to Honorable Kennedy Japan and know that indeed the same condition applies. Because you cannot purport to justify this and say that the other person's one is wrong. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
But I'm not relying on any if condition. I'm saying that if that is anything to go by, then it applies in the same scenario as well. But I think that, look, in all these matters, I don't think it's in our interest for us to be going about trying to defend a statement that legitimately we all find something wrong with it. You may have problem with the process, yes, but to attribute that to government and say it's as a result of corruption or it's as a result of the president being paranoid, I don't think is the way to go. Because we have seen similar stuff happen in previous administration.
Okay.
That wasn't your response. That wasn't the response of the leader that you're working with. His response was that he would have used a bulldozer to kill the mosquito.
Council,
so I'm even expecting that you come in the same breath and tell us that we should use an excavator to kill this mosquito.
Let's place conversations within similarly placed facts.
But that's, so then you could have done that in your submission.
Just calm down.
NSP
Ken Ejepong went on national television, out of anger, said, if you see an Ewe, and remember that it was during the registration, 2012 registration, there was an incident in Odododio. There were no airways involved. There were no guns involved. Who did, we don't know. Then he now goes on a national platform, his TV and radio station, and now said, if you see an airway, kill him. If you see a gun, beat him. How do you situate what Oliver said with those comments by Kennedy Japan, my brother?
No. Are you
no, just hold on. Just hold on. 2, from nowhere, an issue happens. Then the same Ken goes to sit on national television and now says that, you know what, John Mahama, I will burn your house and burn you the person. Akamba, I will burn your house. The problem is, we have a history, and that history is, this same honorable sat on national television, showed the pictures of Ahmed Swale for whatever it's worth. The next day, or whatever subsequent time, this guy was brutally murdered. He was gunned down. So you cannot situate the two. I would be the last person to sit here to accuse Kennedy Japan of having done or having a hand. But I'm saying that possibly people had already laid ambush on Ahmed Swale, but they didn't know who he was until they saw his pictures. Anything can happen. How do you place that in the context in which Oliver made those statements? What did Oliver say? Oliver is saying that, look, in the midst of public agitation against the e-levy, now to see the majority leader, a government that is engaged in town hall meetings, okay?
He wrote all that.
It's there. In fact, he said, after this cake, and what was this cake? The e-levy cake. You recall the story.
Qualify to part
you
of
recall
your
the story.
You recall fact.
You recall.
This is not part of his colorful fact.
I'll let you respond.
You recall the story of Emperor Nero. Whilst Rome was burning, he was actually playing the guitar, excited, even when Rome was burning. At the time when Ghanaians have demonstrated huge outrage with the obnoxious desire by this government to force under our throat this e-levy law, people were definitely outraged. And I have seen online posts by credible media houses where overwhelming majority of Ghanaians have said, look, as for this e-levy, no, including Christian groups. Musicians.
Christian groups that are asking the NDC to also play ball.
No. They are talking about the wider economic conversation. I mean, you know, H.E. John Dramani Mahama has recommended a Senji-like conversation on growing the economy. That's a different ball game altogether. As for e-levy, our position is clear. It's a no. Because we have made a point, and Bella, let me repeat it again, that we can make a lot of money in this economy without touching Momo. Look, government just need to eat a humble pie, okay? And say, look, we want to look inward a little bit. Cut down on our expenses. How in God's name do you justify in the 2020 budget the desire by government to increase allocation to the Office of Government Machinery from 2.5 billion to now almost 3.1? How do you justify it? How do you justify the continuous use of a private jet by President Akufo-Addo? He does it in a very spiteful manner. He looks at us in a very disdainful manner, just telling us, look, more no more. How do you justify that? And it is this concern that Ghanaians are saying that, Mr. President, if you're able to cut down on the cost of running your administration, we'll make significant savings. In the 2021 budget, when the Office of Chief of Staff appeared before Parliament to justify the 2022 budget estimate for the office, they indicated that they have spent from January to September 148 million Ghana cedis on operational enhancement costs. Bella, as a journalist, what does it mean when the president presents that they have actually spent 148 million Ghana cedis on operational enhancement costs, and the man is asking for more? He's not even willing to disclose. Look, when Ghanaians ask the president that tell us how much it's costing us for the daily use of private jets anytime you are traveling abroad,
we're told there's a national security matter.
Nobody has asked President Akufo-Addo to disclose to us conversations he's having with Joe Biden. That's national security. But within the spirit of probity, accountability, the taxpayer desires to know how much you are spending on the cost of travel. Who are the owners of Ghana? We Ghanaians. And that is why the preamble of the 1992 Constitution says that we, the people, in the exercise of our inalienable right, form this government. Now, the very people who voted for you are demanding to know how well you are using our taxpayer. You said national security. And then you are asking them to give you more. So you not disclose more. Who does this? So, my brother, let us all have this in mind. That as for this conversation about e-levy and all of that, and I have said that, look, the arrest of Oliver is just a diversionary thing. This morning, we're having a conversation on Oliver, correct? Mm-hmm. There are real issues about bread and butter, the economy, that this administration had failed. You have read on this platform, Moody's latest, ratings of Ghana. Terrible. CAA, the lowest we have had.
Government has rejected it, by the way, to some extent.
I agree. Government has rejected everything. The only thing that this government had not, rejected is where we find ourselves in. But Moody's, and remember that, Bella, Moody's appears to be an agency that President Akufo-Addo, Bawumia, Minister Kwadwo Oppong-Nkrumah, they have all relied on in the past to justify what they claim to be their economic management of the management of the Ghanaian economy. Today, the same agency makes a finding that they don't like, and the president goes to Addis Ababa to attack Moody's. For the first time, the African Union is issuing statements against rating agencies. That is where we have gotten to. A government that detests criticism. How do we...
But is it not a step in the right direction? Because they're saying that, again, these rating agencies are always rating African nations much lower than the other nations. And so maybe we have to now start looking at coming up with our own indigenous rating agencies.
September 2016, I'll send you the link, City FM. You have a very beautiful mind. You will note it. Look, President Akufo-Addo, when Moody's had indicated that the John Mahama administration after Senchi, the economy was showing positive prospects, Moody's upgraded us to a stable, outlook. President Akufo-Addo then said, look, how in God's name would Moody's do that? And chastised Moody's. 2 years ago, the same Moody's rating, Minister Kwadwo Oppong-Nkrumah was on air saying that, you see, Moody's is saying that our outlook is good. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, in one of the lectures at Central University, chastised the NDC administration and referenced Moody's. Today, when you have become the chairman of the economic management team, Moody's, their finding is that you have scored C. Bella, have you asked yourself, why from November 2021 till date, Bawumia has not had the courage to speak on e-levy?
But at least he's spoken on the e-passport.
What is the connection between e-levy?
I'm just saying, it's still e. There's still an electronic connection there.
The point is that our vice president exudes cowardice.
How do you say that?
Yes.
Look, how does he? Look, I mean, we know at least from the past where he stands or where he stood at that point concerning e-levy at that time.
Good.
So if we've not heard from him at this point, it doesn't mean that he's being cowardice.
I was even thinking the way you are defensive this morning.
I'm not defending him. I'm just telling you.
No, I'm on the lighter that even after this show, he's the acting president. Call Gideon Buako. Arrange a meeting, an interview with the vice president on e-levy. You run away. Do you know why? Because it exposes his high level of inconsistency. That this government is not founded on any sound principle. Flip-flop. That is what this administration... Look, it is the anyhowness that these people have governed this country. Look, sometimes I ask...
Did they not do a good job in even managing COVID?
This COVID?
Yes.
Look, Bella, the amount of money that this administration got under COVID, if we give this country to you, with that amount of money, you do an excellent job. What is the COVID scorecard? this government is telling us, and my brother here is there, that they spend 54 million Ghana cedis on giving free food, right? Mm-hmm. That they spend 600 million Ghana cedis on Agenda 111. This is what this government, it is not projected though, that they have spent 600 million on Veronica buckets, hand sanitizers for secondary schools. The amount of money, over 33 billion Ghana cedis, that is how much COVID brought to this administration. You would have done a better job. I trust you to do that.
But we were touted, I mean, in the early days of COVID, as having been one of the countries that had managed COVID well.
Because you see, when COVID came, it took a visionary leader, John Mahama, to put in the 274 million in the stabilization fund. You remember? Government simply went to parliament, took 200 million of that, got 1.2 million Ghana cedis, then shared the money. That is what the international community applauded government for.
How do you say that?
No, but that is it. How were those interventions funded? Tell me.
It was not about money being shared. It was about how we manage the spread of the virus.
All those matters. In any case, how do you say we spread we manage the spread? How did
because of the interventions that were put in place.
First of all, how did COVID come into the country in the first place? Have you thought about it?
We all know how it came in the first place. There were 2 foreigners that came into the airport and they had the COVID virus.
Exactly. And from there, what happens?
But it spread everywhere. It wasn't just
exactly.
us.
So when you say spread, what exactly? In any case, do you know that the African continent presented a unique situation on the management of COVID when you compare to the global statistics? You know that?
Yeah.
That for some, whether strange or biological reason, the transmission mechanism within the African continent was greatly better compared to Europe, the North Americas, and others. So you have to look at it within context. Okay. But I'm saying that if you look at the financial resources available to this administration during COVID, you, Bella, would have done a better job.
Ernest, come in for me.
And I'm not sure you disagree that you do a better job.
Lawyer, at least I'm not the president at the moment. I cannot say until I'm in that office. But Ernest, lawyer has raised quite a number of issues. I'd want you to touch on each and every one of them if possible.
Before I come to his digress issues, one, let's look at a statement that was made by Bobie on social media platform. Maybe Eduji here is distinguishing that from others because possibly on social media, you don't see the mood of the person, whether he was angry, whether he was smiling, whether he had some anger boiling up. This is the statement. He said, this current judicial system is corrupt and made up of crooks and criminals, led by a corrupt Chief Justice who is struggling to purge himself from a 5 million TV allegations fact. And he said facts are sacred. That's what he posted. Now, by repeating this statement, I don't seek to denigrate the judiciary, but what I seek to put out there is that such comments, when made, sincerely, we all know that it doesn't really go well. This is not journalism. This is not what the people anticipate from people who get up every day and supposed to educate us on civic education and other stuff in the country, rather to speak ill of people who sit in such positions. Having said that, my brother mentioned that Mahama is proposing Senchi Accord as a solution or a panacea to the problems of Ghana. Let's ask ourselves, did Senchi Accord itself solve any problem beyond the hefty expenses that were incurred by the state? Did it really solve any problem? The answer is no.
But they outlined certain measures that were supposed to be implemented in order to bring the economy back on track.
I have just spoken for 1 minute. You understand?
Time is gone.
No. Hold on. Senchi Accord did not solve any problem. You went there to develop homegrown solution, and you brought in a whole lot of actors, including Ikuadonko, to make sure that you are able to develop.
What are you insinuating?
I am not insinuating. I'm just mentioning the.
Basically saying that she's not worthy of the invitation.
Can you just allow me?
I
start here. I am not.
They have added on something that.
No. I'm saying that. I mean, they extended the invitation to the extent that Ikuadonko and others were all there. So we were expecting that the collaboration would have been huge. The policy would have been much successful. In the end, It worked nothing. It solved no problem because the Senchi Accord itself was supposed to develop homegrown solutions.
And they did.
Eduji.
Eduji, please allow him, please.
That would have solved the problems of Ghana. That would have prevented the government of the day from even going to IMF. In the end, when they went to the IMF, go and look at their statement or the proposal that they went to the IMF for. They went to IMF for policy credibility, my emphasis, policy credibility, which suggests that the government of the day was not credible in its decisions and its expenses. And therefore, IMF had to come in to at least indemnify them and also put in controls to help them. Now, the argument of the NPP had been that, look, if you know of any successful story across the world where IMF or any of these Bretton Woods institutions has been able to take any one specific country out of poverty or out of the woods and bring... No, why this expression?
Energy, allow him to speak.
If you know of one of these successful stories where IMF has been able to transform any particular country, we are saying, point it out there. Relax. For us, we think that all the IMF does is that they will come out with the control measures and ask you to follow those control measures. We have our own control measures. We know what the solutions are, and we are saying that instead of always going for these loans, which invariably is a debt that you pay anyway, why don't you stick to the same solutions? Find your own way of generating these revenues to solve this problem instead of going to add to your debt. That's what we are saying. He comes back by saying that e-levy cake. Let's ask ourselves sincerely, what difference does that make? If you're having a party and someone presents a cake to you, even if it is in the form of a laptop, if it is in the form of e-levy.
But this is an e-levy cake.
Yeah, but are you in the minds? He just told you that even the devil.
Majority of Ghanaians are against.
Eduji is my friend. On my birthday, if he decides to present, hold on.
I'll bring a law report.
If you decide,
in the form of law report.
If you decide to bring me a law report as a cake, what am I supposed to do? To reject that? No. So I sincerely think I think that this guy, they are just bringing politics to a very trivial level, which we shouldn't entertain.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Ghanaians felt disrespected. They felt
No. Mocked. You should feel disrespected if the sponsor is Honorable Chairman Sabonso himself.
He cut it.
And
no,
besides,
but they cut it. We
was
some members of parliament who were smiling.
No, was smiling.
Allow me
to, see, fighting us.
Lawyer, please let him land. My time is up. We have to go.
You see, all these things that they are saying is just some tactics that they are trying to use.
It's been a very tough morning.
Which tactics? These are Ghanaians who are saying we felt spited.
No. It's the NDC that are trying to.
So you're saying anybody who spoke against that e-levy cake is NDC?
I am saying that they are the ones that raised the issue. But you ought to distinguish it from...
We're not even invited.
Oh, no.
Only for your MPs to
But I say your time is up. Can you just...
Okay, lawyer, please.
No, can you
yes,
just...
they didn't invite you. We're aware of that. It's fine. You let him make his point.
You see...
My brother was not even invited.
Oh, Eduji.
Please make a point.
Moving away from that, because there's a key issue that I want to deal with.
I have only 30 seconds, unfortunately.
His statement that you should invite the vice president to come here to make
No, I say you should go there.
Is the vice president the only person who is required to speak on government policy?
Chairman of economic
you see, the consistent attack that they launch on the vice president is not going to work.
No.
Because clearly, they know the competence of the vice president. They know that he has a promising future. And therefore, they've launched this deliberate attack to bring him into almost every specific issue. Now, ask him.
But the vice president talks about Moody's and all those others, and he doesn't talk about e-levy.
Why?
See,
when the ratings come in and they are good, doesn't that help the vice president?
Are you not aware that there have been several circumstances that these Bretton Woods institutions have been able to use other rating institutions to suppress sovereign states from their economic decisions? It has happened. Because, look, Ghana has expressed clear intentions through the NPP administration that we are not going to IMF. So one of the strategies is to make Ghana, downgrade us, put us in the bad light.
I'm being counted down. Enes Kumi is a communications team member of the NPP, and lawyer Eduji Tamaklo is a member of the legal team for the NDC. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. We have a number of other issues to discuss on the show. This is TV3 New Day. We'll be right back. Keep watching.